This week on HucknWiss, we discuss football.
Watch this. So Huck and I have a deep, deep passion for sports.
We do.
And specifically football.
Yes.
And just for everybody else that's been out there in Facebook land asking, this and this, we don't talk about.
Off limits.
We don't talk about it, and we have a great friendship. And
yep. We're able to maintain being best friends by not talking about it.
Exactly.
However, there is a mutual respect because Wiss so generously took me to an Eagles-Cowboys game in Philadelphia.
I did.
And I was good about it.
You were very good.
I was good about it.
You were very good. I didn't think we would talk about this, but that's a good thing.
I was good about it. So I actually left alive, for one.
You did.
So that must say something.
And I will say, he was very respectful. I made a couple ground rules. There was to be no blue on him whatsoever. And any time that the Cowboys did anything good, which fortunately for me wasn't that much that night.
It was a rough night for the boys. It was.
He wasn't to yell or say anything. And long story short, that we'll talk about another, HucknWiss. My family is hardcore Eagles. Hardcore Eagles.
And mine is hardcore Cowboys.
Yeah.
So it makes for an interesting dynamic, but
we don't talk about it. That's the most we've ever talked about.
Enough said. All right. So anyhow.
So today we want to talk about football.
Yep.
And specifically maybe some of the autographs, some of the stories that we've had about football.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've both had some pretty unique experiences with different NFL players and franchises. And so we're just going to share a few of those experiences, and then I'm going to tell you guys a story that some of you will not even believe that I'm still alive to tell. So, cliffhanger.
So who did you get to meet? This is really cool.
Well, I've had the opportunity to meet numerous NFL players, and it has been an awesome experience with each one of them for the most part. But one that really stands out is when I was in school at Southeastern University. Shout out to the old college there.
What was your mascot?
We actually, when I was there, we started off as the Crusaders, and then when we changed to university, they changed us to the Fire. Now, in my opinion, that is the worst nickname of all time. Quick other little side note, we originally, as a student body, voted in the Fighting Squirrels. But
that's awesome.
But if you go to school there, then you get why we would pick that. But it got vetoed by the school president, and to make it more spiritual sounding and whatnot, he chose Fire, which is the worst school mascot name of all time. But anyway, that's all beside the point.
Yeah,
so
while
I was in school in Florida, I had a Disney Pass. And I don't know if any of you guys ever watch ESPN enough to know that they have an ESPN Days. Okay. And so I went to the ESPN Days, and this is right when Drew Brees was traded from, or not traded, but was released by the Chargers and signed with the Saints. So it was before his Super Bowl.
Right.
So they had him interviewed live and all that kind of stuff. This is before he was really famous. So he was done with his interview, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Drew Brees. So I walk up to him, and no one else bothered him at all. People just walked by us like he was just average Joe.
That's awesome.
And he stood and talked to me for probably 15, 20 minutes, telling me about his transition to the Saints and how excited he is. And I mean, he was just one of the coolest, most down-to-earth people I've ever had the chance to meet. And so because that's made me a Drew Brees fan. I really enjoy Drew Brees. Even though I'm a Cowboys fan, and I think Wiss is the same way, we just enjoy good football.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter what team you're on, and there's football players that I individually like that are on other teams that I really love watching. And Drew Brees, because of my interaction with him, was one of those guys.
Yeah, I've always had a healthy respect for Drew Brees.
Yep.
I think he's a stand-up guy. I mean, the picture of him with his son at the end of the Super Bowl, iconic picture of football.
Yep. Humble guy.
Absolutely.
So anyway, tell us your experience.
So my experience is this. So when my dad and I, when I was real young, my dad used to take me to the Eagles training camps, and they were in, I forget where they were, Bethlehem, PA. And we would go there, and this is well before they would set up chutes where the players couldn't mix with the fans and stuff like that. And I was probably 7 or 8 years old. And we go to a training camp, and my dad's favorite player of all time is Reggie White.
Okay, respected. Very well respected player.
Jeez, I could do a whole episode just on him. But so practice ends, the player starts moving towards the locker room, and my dad makes a beeline for Reggie White. I mean, I've never seen my dad move this fast. and I'm doing everything I could just to keep up with him. And I will never forget my dad walking up to Reggie White and shaking his hand and just thanking him for being a part of the Eagles and everything that he stood for. And me as a 7-year-old just looking up at this giant man, just seeing who he was, and it was like a surreal moment. I still think about that.
Yep.
So that was my brush with, like, I mean, Hall of Fame,
right? The Minister of Defense.
The Minister of Defense.
He's
possibly the greatest defensive player that's ever played the defensive lineman, certainly, that's ever played the game.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, he was a beast to watch, and I remember watching him at the tail end of his career when he was with the Panthers.
Yeah,
everyone forgets that old Reggie ended his career in Carolina.
He did.
But moving on.
So, all right. So how did you almost?
Well, let me explain my near-death experience here, okay? So, obviously, as you guys can see, I enjoy collecting autographs. It's become a hobby of mine. And I've got players from DeMarcus Ware, Steve Smith Sr., got Joe Flacco, and my most recent autograph that I have purchased, well, let me tell you the story. So, my mother works for a nonprofit organization, and so part of the way that they help raise money is they do auctions throughout the year. And so they were doing a sports memorabilia auction. Well, obviously being into it, I called my mom, so she's telling me everything they got. She goes, yeah, they had this Andrew Luck jersey that's signed by him. I said, oh, that's awesome. I was like, now that's one I would want. I love watching Neckbeard play.
Neckbeard is fantastic.
Yes, Neckbeard is one of my favorite players currently in the NFL. I mean, the guy is just incredible to watch.
And a quick tangent on that. How in the world did the Colts go from Manning to Neckbeard?
Probably one of the most lucky organizations, pun not intended, to ever get.
I mean, how many quarterbacks have the Browns had over the past 15 years? You know, sorry, Pastor Kirk.
Yeah,
but
or any Browns fan ever.
But seriously,
yeah, I mean, Bernie Kosar was probably the last decent one they had, and he was decent. But anyhow, that's all in here and there.
Yeah.
So to stay on track, so I was telling my mom, I said, well, what's the minimum bid? She says minimum bid's $300. I'm like, okay, cool. So I look up on my phone, and his jersey typically goes for about $500 to $600 right now. And I'm like, oh, sweet, that's a good investment. So I'm like, you know what? Put me down for the minimum bid, thinking there's not a chance in the world I'm ever going to get it. Here's my fatal flaw. I didn't talk to my wife about it before I made the bid.
Rookie mistake.
And so my mom calls me back all excited and says, guess what? I said, what? She goes, you won the Andrew Luck jersey.
Yay!
And granted, this is right before the birth of our child. So, you know, we're already, okay, money, finances, and this and that. And so now I have to look at my pregnant wife and tell her, hey, honey, I just spent $300 on an Andrew Luck jersey. And the look that she gave me at first was terrifying. It was really one of those looks that
I could end you?
Well, it's that look that every husband has seen at least once in his life. That was the time I saw it for the first time. And so she looks at me, and she says, so this Andrew Luck jersey that you got here, can you explain this to me? And I'm saying, well, I tell her what happens. She says, okay. She goes, well, Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday. I thought to myself, you know what? That's a good compromise. I'm okay with that. And so, so I kind of sort of accidentally bought an Andrew Luck autograph jersey.
That's awesome.
And believe it or not, I actually recently went to an autograph store and asked the owner, hey, how much do you think a jersey like that would be worth? He goes, well, if they win the Super Bowl, which they're playing right now to get to the Super Bowl.
Right. We're filming this in the past.
Right.
I don't know if you know that.
Right. And if he wins the Super Bowl, if Neckbeard wins it,
yes,
then that jersey could be worth upwards of $900 to $1,000. I thought, well, $300, that's a great investment.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling that I did the right thing. I really feel like I did the right thing.
Well, now you're saying that.
Minus not talking to my wife.
Now you're saying that. That's a risky proposition.
Yeah, so I almost lost my life over that, but worth it.
But totally worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. When he told me that he had done that, I was like, oh, Lord, this is not going to end well.
Yeah, and I know there's women watching this that are so happy that I'm not their husband.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to put it to you this way and make you feel better, I spend twice that on Eagles tickets every year.
Right. So, but see, you're getting season tickets to a game. I bought a signed jersey from a player that's not even on my favorite team.
I mean, he's good. He'll probably be okay.
I think he's going to be great.
Okay. Well, hey, you know what? In 10 years, you can watch this video and you can tell us if Huck was right. Or if, well, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying
Neckbeard is the next big thing in the NFL.
Okay,
that's just straight up what it is.
You heard it here first, and with that, we are going to leave you. Thank you for watching. Please comment, subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. And and we will see you next time.
Yep. See you guys, and don't purchase anything big without talking to your wife first.